I was recently diagnosed with ADHD. That's attention... I love this dress.
Hi, my name's Dan, and this is my face. Enjoy it. Drink it in. I'm the only comedian on this bill who looks like both a grandson and a grandma. Make the most of it whilst I'm here. I don't do stand-up full-time. My day job, I work in a primary school. I don't know how that's allowed. The job I do in the primary school, I'm a lunchtime supervisor. I'm a fucking dinner lady. I'm 26 and I'm a dinner lady. 26. That's like 11 in dinner lady years. I went to a weird school, right? I've got dyspraxia. It's a condition that affects like my spatial awareness, my coordination. Right? I went to a specialist school for kids with dyspraxia and dyslexia. And when I was 11, I had to go for an interview there, see if I was appropriate. And I was nervous, but I turned up. They took one look at me. They said, "You are perfect. You're exactly what we're after. Get in here now. Here's your helmet." A little bit risky. It's the BBC, you just don't know. It's a good school, though. It's a great school. Had our own dance troupe. They were called Neurodiversity. They were awful. That was just us walking to the dance studio. No.
What's up? You right? It's nice to be out, man. It's nice to be out. I've been pissing it up loads lately. I went out the other day and this girl come up to me, right, and she goes, "Do you know who you look like?" And my ego started going wild. I was like, "Who does she think I am? Tupac?" Idris. Idris, maybe. No. Ainsley Harriott. I'm not even black. I'm Asian. This is how bad it's got. I got asked to host a gig for Black History Month. Obviously, I did the gig. Like my hero, Martin Luther King, used to say, 200 quid is 200 quid. Apparently, my wife is white, right? Not apparently, I know my wife is white. My wife is white, apparently, right? Right? My mum tries to make her feel more welcome, but she just comes off as a little bit racist, right? We went round hers for dinner, right? And my mum said, "Here's the normal curry." And this one is less spicy because, you know. Could you imagine? I go round her mum and dad's. We cooked shepherd's pie. Don't you worry. We put a bit of curry powder on your one. You don't like all that, did you?
Hi, everyone. Are you ready to have a lovely time? Yeah, well, bad news. Bad news, because I'm actually a real piece of shit, actually. I hesitated because I didn't know if I was allowed to say shit. Okay, I'll level with you. I'm trying to have a rebrand to be nasty because I used to be known as sweet. But when you're known as sweet and innocent, right, people underestimate you. Like, people think I can't handle hecklers. I can handle hecklers because once someone heckled me, and quick as a flash, I fired straight back with, "You're hurting my feelings." And that showed them, so who wants some? Nice, too scared. But now that I've gone bad, I talk about the things nice girls don't talk about, like sex, drugs, rock and roll, like Nickelback, that sort of that sort of thing. I don't know how well the rebrand is working, though, because what I've learned about myself recently is that the only people that fancy me love Lord of the Rings. Yes, yes. And they fully give it away when they say, "I love your ears." But you don't have to feel bad for me, because I get hit on with that stuff so often. I've had to learn I have a boyfriend in Elvish. Like, that's what I'm dealing with, because elves have always been fetishized, right? Like, I looked it up, and it's actually in the very derivation of the word. Like, Tolkien says it's actually an acronym, ELF, which stands for Elfide Like to Fuck. So that's why I'm trying to get sexually empowered, but I find it hard to know, like, what's sexual empowerment and what's a see-through top. But it might be working, because the other day, someone called me a bad bitch as a compliment, and I was trying to figure out why that's a compliment, and I think it's because bad is bad and bitch is bad, but together they make a double negative, so they loop right back around to being positive, and bad bitches love nothing more than being mathematically sound. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thanks. Is that because you think I'm a bad bitch, or? Okay, it was more for logic. So now I'm trying to get sexier as well. So I'm learning French, because France is the sexiest. And according to Duolingo, I'm actually 40% fluent. No, you're right. That is to say not fluent, isn't it? Like, you couldn't do that with anything else. Like, oh, I'm 40% proficient at stand-up. Like, I'm really good at setups, but just not at, I think France is sexier, but there is a French sexiness paradox. And that's because while it's so hot to be, like, disinterested and, like, nonchalant, like, in the actual act of banging, you want some enthusiasm. Okay, you guys don't. I do. I do. I don't want to be like, "Do you like that, baby?" And they're like, "What is it to like when you are born without a reason? Persist out of weakness and die by chance, huh?" That's hard to get off to. Not impossible, not impossible.
Hi, my name is Joshua. You might recognize my accent from your bank's customer support. People who don't see color, I am brown. You know, being brown in the UK, people make assumptions of where you're from, so I should clarify I'm from India, and none of those shitholes, like Birmingham or Leicester. I'm also trying to get into football, right? That's one way to be a proper English lad. Give me a cheer if you're a football fan. Oh, wow, so many football fans, crazy. So the woman brought football home, and you've got the Men's World Cup coming up. Football fans, what do you think? Is it going to stay home, or will it be sent back like a non-white refugee? I'll tell you what I think. I think you all should stop inventing things you all are not good at, you know, like football, cricket, English. No, I'm rooting for England. I hope England wins. You know, I'll be supporting for them. But to explain it to the very few non-football fans here, the state of English football, the chances of England winning is the same as that of you finding a white Uber driver. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's happened before. It'll probably happen again, but it's surely not happening right now.
When I was 4, my family moved from Egypt to Cambridge, which is why I sound like this, and why I give off this smart, casual Rishi Sunak vibe. I look like if Aladdin's only wish was to work in marketing. Like I mean, I'll take it. The weirdest thing that I've ever been called was at a football match. Someone called me a posh terrorist. What does that even mean? That instead of bomb vests, I wear a suicide gilet? I don't go by the name Jihadi Giles? Post videos on Facebook of me beheading pheasants? I don't know. It can be difficult, though, when, you know, cultures come together and this can sometimes clash. I'll tell you my favourite racist experience, right? It was on Halloween, and it was when all this sort of the refugees are coming crisis headlines were in the news. And this woman comes up to me hammered. And like terrible fake tan as well, by the way. Like face and legs, top and bottom orange, middle section, arms and stomach white. She looked like a train ticket, right? And she comes up to me and she's like, I hate you lot. You lot bring your boats to our shores and steal our money and resources. And the worst thing about that situation was that I was also dressed as a Viking. So I couldn't know for sure if it was a hate crime or like an impromptu improv session. Like, is this UKIP or GCSE drama? I had to cover all my bases, so I just replied, I think that's racist by Odin's beard. I don't know. You know. Yeah, thank you.
Just before I start, I want to make sure you're all aware that as a comedian, my pronouns are he, he. Growing up, I had two fears. Pedophiles, obviously, and spiders. And my parents always taught me to try and overcome my fears using the most humane way possible. And I remember once I had a glass and a piece of card, and I was thinking to myself, there's no way Uncle Trevor's gonna fit in this. I'm definitely gonna need a bigger glass. And for anyone who maybe didn't fully understand that, Uncle Trevor isn't a spider. He's a massive paedophile. You have to be very careful when you use the phrase fantastic tits. For example, if you're bird watching, that's absolutely fine. But during a job interview, but I mean, he did have fantastic tits. Do you think a camel has ever looked down and thought, my toes really look like vaginas? But I mean, I know what I look like. I mean, I once won a competition and the prize was my weight in pizza. It was 2 pizzas. Tried sponsoring a kid in Africa. He sent the money back. Said I probably needed it more than he did. Now I have to send him photos.
Hi, how's it going? So when we think of that, we like to write observational sketches and songs on things that we've seen and places that we have been. Recently we were in Aberdeen, so we wrote a song about the size of the seagulls in Aberdeen. This song is called The Size of the Seagulls in Aberdeen. Oh, the seagulls are in Aberdeen. Have you seen the fucking size of the seagulls in Aberdeen? Oh, the seagulls are in Aberdeen. I seen one fight a granny at the harbour in Aberdeen. I thought I must be dreaming, but I wasn't. The big old bastard's devil eye staring right through me. I thought I must be dreaming, but I wasn't. The big old bastard chased me down, he tried to kill me. Oh, the seagulls are in Aberdeen. Have you seen the fucking size of the seagulls in Aberdeen? The seagulls are in Aberdeen. They scream. Gonna do the seagull noise.
Ja, heftig.
Oh, the seagulls are in Aberdeen. They scream. Oh, the seagulls are in Aberdeen. They scream. Oh, the seagulls are in Aberdeen. They scream. Oh, the seagulls are in Aberdeen. I seen one bust a nut at the harbour in Aberdeen. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ah, thank you. Cheers so much. How is everybody? Me too. I'm Mary Lane and I am from Shetland, a tiny island way up in the north. So it's so exciting to be here. Because if I was in a building like this in Shetland, I would know every face in the room. Because they're all birthed from the same woman. Her name is Ma'am. I was recently diagnosed with ADHD. That's attention. I love this dress. Did you knit this from the same wool that you sheared from the sheep that you raised from a lamb? Because that's what I do. I grew up on a farm, a small croft, and I loved having sheep. Having sheep is like having friends that you can eat. And then I turned 18, and what a change in my life when I moved from Shetland to Edinburgh to study. But it's so wild in here. You guys have roads for feet. Pavement. And like, I'm quite easily led. When I'm invited on something, I have to weigh up the pros and cons of if it's too dangerous. Like, I have this best friend, Amy, who is terrifying. But she'll say something like, hey, Marilyn, let's go out drinking. And I have to think, pro, I'll get a good story out of it. Con, the first time I tell it will be to a police officer. Or bigger situations, Amy will say, hey, Marilyn, I need you to help me kill a man. And I'll think, pro, I get to kill a man. So when I moved to Edinburgh,